Hello and welcome again, my friends, to another episode of the Terry McGriff Show. I'm right here along my illustrious co-host, Andre L. Sullivan. Andre, how's it going, my friend?
I'm doing well, Coach. How you doing?
I'm doing good. The streak is over. So I'm doing good as a Jaguar fan. So I'm happy. It was a pretty good weekend we had last week, and then a good sports weekend again. Man, just happy to be alive, man. Got a great show. Got some pretty good topics today. How did it go for you? I'm gonna be telling me your story about the football game this weekend. Yeah, that's
I
cool.
mean,
That was interesting.
it's been a while, 72 hours for me, but I mean, at the end of the day, I'm here, you're here, you looking at me and me looking at you.
Yep. So I feel you. So let's jump into the show. But first, folks, if you like what we're doing, you like our content, please help us be able to continue doing this by hitting that like button. Also hit that subscribe button. And then just patronize our patrons, our sponsors, Team Sportswear Direct, the Women's Tackle Football League, and watch game film. I just want to make sure that you guys just take care of those folks that help take care of us. It's going to be an exciting show here. We're going to talk about three exciting topics. The Jaguars go to London and get a win. So we're going to jump into that. We're also going to talk about, because it's kind of late in the game. The Raiders yesterday played, and they won an exciting game with their interim coach. But all due because they had to. Basically, their head coach, their former head coach, had to resign. So we're going to jump into that a little bit because I want to talk about that. And then lastly, speaking of that, we want to talk about some coaches that we find now, since we're almost halfway through the season, find themselves on the hot seat. We also, we know what's going on in the world of college sports right now. So we'll jump into that. So let's do it. Let's jump on in there. Okay, let's talk about these Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars are no longer record-wise the worst team in the NFL. Actually, they went from worst to third, so third worst. So I don't know if that's worthy of a consolation prize or what. But they're no longer the worst team. And there's a lot of encouraging things I will take away from that game. I will take away that they made a lot of mistakes and still was able to find a way to win the game. Now, that might be because they played a Dolphins team who probably just as bad, if not worse, which opens up a whole lot more questions about Tua Tagovailoa and his ability to be a franchise quarterback, even though he was coming off an injury. You still got a lot of stuff that you got to question with Urban Meyer. The 4th and 2 decision to go for it when they were right in scoring range and could have kicked the field goal, and it wouldn't have been such a desperate effort actually, if they would have everything worked out, they would have won it a lot easier, 23-20, before that even had to go to that kick. There's a lot of question marks, but you can see some growth, especially at the quarterback position. The throw to Marvin Jones was just maybe 4 quarterbacks in the league could have made that throw. And he's one. Luckily, we have one of them. That was an outstanding throw. His numbers were really pretty good, and the thing about it is you didn't notice it, that he was putting those type of numbers up. Once again, James Robinson, as we've come to know, has become James Robinson, one of the premier backs. You can say that now. He's one of the premier backs in the National Football League. So we got some hope, or we got some building blocks to build upon. The one great thing I liked about it was with the supposedly makeshift offensive line, there really wasn't much of a beat skipped in the running game and all that anyway. And that stuff I've been trying to talk to you about all the time, about who should be the starting center and who should be the starting right guard, kind of worked itself out a little bit, especially when the starting center and the starting right guard didn't even play in the game. So, all in all, I'm happy for those guys. I'm happy for the city of Jacksonville and all of us fans, because, that was kind of long. It was over a year, calendar year, since they won a meaningful game. I mean, and they had some pretty ugly stats you're talking about. They're talking about they were the first team to go 5 games without making a field goal, and they finally found. Oh, that's the other good thing. They finally maybe have found a kicker. And, with those 2 54-yard field goals. So, there was some positives to take out of this game. I'm nowhere near excited of like, okay, we got a chance to start thinking about where we in the division. No. We just Go into the bye week, get your wounds taken care of, and come back and see if you can make another win. Don't try to go a streak. Just try to win one game in a row each week.
You know, Jaguars I'm, in the midst of you talking, I was trying to find another way to start it off, but Jaguars just piss me off. They find new ways to do it. As a media member, it always conflicts with my fandom when I have to cover them. But here's my issue, and I'll get to the good. But hear me out.
Okay.
You have James Robinson, who probably is. I won't give him too much credit, but at least a top 15 running back, a starting running back in the NFL.
He's elite. He's an elite level running back. He's that in 2 years.
He only got 17 carries against a team who struggles in stopping the run. I mean, if you look at their division, they have the Jets, the Patriots, and the Bills, who literally do nothing but run on them. And here's my issue with that. He only got 17 carries for 73 yards.
When it was 4 yards a carry.
You know what I mean? Like, that's it. That's it. And then we put the ball in Trevor Lawrence's hand, and he goes 25 for 41. Now, granted, a lot of people had some bad games on Sunday.
A lot of drops.
Laviska Shenault, I don't know what happened to his hands. Maybe he left them in the States. I don't know. Tight ends.
You found him in that fourth quarter, though, at the end of the game.
Yeah, tight ends struggle a little bit there, but it's like the Jaguars have played 6 games. But it seems like the Jaguars don't know who the Jaguars are yet. And in that, I have an issue.
That's a fair assessment.
Because you spent all training camp doing what? That's what that's for. If you don't know, fans, that's training camp's literally there to figure out who you are as a team. And statistics tell us that this is a downhill running team. That it's a short yardage pass team.
Mm-hmm.
The film tells us that they want to be a distant a West Coast offense, a old school college spread team.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have the pieces to make that puzzle, and that alone, it just.
I feel you, man.
It's frustrating to watch. But let's get into some good.
You're talking as a fan right now. You're not putting your media hat on. I get it.
No, that's the media hat. Being honest and telling people like, hey, y'all happy, but they have to play the rest of the schedule, and they're not always going to see bruised and hurt Dolphin team, and so calm down a little bit. Enjoy your win and enjoy your moment. But calm down a little bit. But let's get into some good. Marvin Jones, that amazing catch in the end zone with the DB basically married to him. That was amazing, and that showed you why they got Marvin Jones. Mm-hmm. I don't know if people paid attention to it too much, but you guys, there's a reason why Andrew Wingard is on the field. And if you pay attention to it, just a tad bit, tad bit, I promise you'll see some amazing stuff out of him at safety.
I don't know about amazing, but he's decent.
But and then of course James Robinson. I mean, he's literally not talked about because he's in Jacksonville and they're a 1-5 team. But
part,
the kid is good. You guys, they just give him the ball maybe 10, 15 more times, maybe. You might be on the other side of the wins. Shouts out to Matthew Wright, the kicker, number 15 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was a little scary there for a minute, that partner. But hey, you found your footing, no pun intended. But they got a dub. And congrats to them and Urban Meyer on his first NFL win, but they got a lot more work to do.
I found that, speaking on that, I found it obviously appropriate that they run out and mob the kicker. But I also noticed no one decided to go back and pour any Gatorade on Urban Meyer. Yeah, nobody, but in the locker room, there was no lifting Urban Meyer up out of this. And that was kind of telling after all this stuff. Everybody was happy, but Urban, when a guy gets his first win at the professional level, you would have figured in that locker room, there would have been more fanfare around him. It was mostly around the kicker and the fact that we won a game. I think that's telling. That's telling. That was something that I found very obvious that, obviously there was no disrespect toward his way, but there definitely wasn't any extra love. Hey, coach, you got your first win. What you gonna do? Blah blah blah. It was none of that. So we'll see how that rolls as we go forward. And I think it actually might have saved him this week by them winning that game. A lot of because I don't know if he would have been here after the bye week with all the stuff that had happened. I'm seriously, I don't know. He could. With the USC job open, and maybe he'd find out that might be greener pastures. It would have been an easy out. This would have been an easy time to bow out when the NCAA season getting ready to almost halfway over, and he could get out, bow out, and he can negotiate for that job and then start on recruiting early. You never know. I thought that was very telling. The other thing that I thought was telling was how well the defense played today on a lot of crucial situations. The fourth down stop, and then when the Jaguars got a turnover, offense turned over, the defense came back and turned the ball back over. I'm starting to see some guys make some plays that they weren't making before that, and I understand what they're saying though. They're progressing. I see a little bit of it, but defensively, I see things that I didn't see the first 4 games. And so that makes me encouraged that they'll be competitive going forward. Because when we first looked at the schedule, we thought this was going to be the hot and heavy, really scary part of the schedule. Now it's kind of looking like it may not be because, Seattle doesn't have their quarterback, and then you still have the Jets who are struggling. So it's going to be, we might just flip it because we thought we had a chance to start out fast with maybe 3-1, 2-2. To start out the season, but it might flip this part. Let's see, we call it the second quarter. It might flip for second quarter. Might be a strong one as far as the Jaguars schedule. So we'll see. We'll see how this works out. I'm really interested to see. Once again, congratulations to the Jaguars and all of us Jaguar fans. So you can finally I think it was more relief than happiness. So we'll see how it goes. All right. Speaking of somebody who won a game, we're going to switch topics here too and talk about the Las Vegas Raiders. Their new coach, I can't remember his name. Congratulations to their interim coach for getting a win, but he's the interim coach for a reason. Jon Gruden, obviously, and the Raiders parted ways last Monday in the midst of some emails that came out with some very, very terrible things he said. I want to tell you my feelings on them, and tell you why I feel that way. Well, the first time I heard anything really about it was last Sunday night on last Sunday night's football, and then I believe Mike Tirico and also Lord have mercy, the former head coach Tony Dungy came out and they defended the character of Jon Gruden, and all seemed to be like maybe recoverable for Jon Gruden. He came out and he apologized, said he wasn't a racist and stuff like that. And I think things would have been swept over until all the rest of the emails came out. And the rumor was there was going to be more and more emails being leaked until he either was fired or he stepped down. So we don't know exactly what happened. There was a saying that he resigned, but I think it was a forced resignation. Anyway, my point is, if what the emails that he said were so Archie Bunker-like, it was comical to me. If hopefully I'm not using a reference you don't understand, don't know, because you probably don't know if you watched All in the Family back in the day. But if you know who Archie Bunker was, he was the lovable, basically bigot, and he picked fun of all of them. It doesn't matter whether you're African American, anything that you want, white, Anglo-Saxon, he had a reference for it. And it seems like Jon Gruden took that reference book and used it in those emails. And my take on it is, yeah, it was 11 years ago. Can people change? Yes, they can. But if it was just about being about one person, if it was just about DeMaurice Smith, we could have dismissed this. But when you're using using words to talk about the commissioner, well, you're gonna get in hot water anyway, because that's the big man. So I mean, it was a done deal when you did that. But when it also comes out to find like you are homophobic, you're against women, you were just so out there in your statements that you actually feel comfortable enough to put it on multiple emails on these type of things. You didn't leave yourself much room when this stuff come out to be able to keep that job. And I don't think you'll ever have a coaching job in the NFL, at least in the NFL, maybe somewhere else, but I definitely know it's not going to be in the National Football League. I feel sad for him because he had a chance to do something special there, and he had a good competitive team. But I think he lived on borrowed time, knowing that that's the type of person he was. And obviously he was faking the funk on this stuff, because the way he dealt with a lot of people, and there was a lot of other rumors about how he wasn't pleasant to deal with, but we don't know if that had to do because he was racist or what. But the emails were more damning, and the amount of them was the point that you can't really go on with this guy. And, and I feel sorry for a lot of people that probably lives might have been affected one way because of the way his decision making, the way he felt about certain people.
I just taking the time and reading over some of those emails, and I agree wholeheartedly with a lot of what you said. Here's what I don't think people do know about. I need everybody to go back and take a look back when Jon Gruden was rehired, and go look at the terms in which he was rehired. If you think Jon Gruden is out of the Raiders organization, you haven't been paying attention. Because he owns a very large stake into that franchise.
I did not know that.
That's how he was being paid so much money. But no, I agree. I agree. Stuff like that can't exist in the world that we've created now. And when you have people like that who exist in this world, it makes it harder for progress to continue. And having met DeMaurice Smith, and it's just one honest man's opinion, I can honestly say he's nothing of the sort to where Jon Gruden described him, but moreover, it was one of those "how dare you" type of moments. And so, in summation, I just feel like he stepped down. Thank God, because that firing process would have gotten ugly. But I also want people to realize he stepped down from coaching.
Not anything else that he was with the organization. Okay, so that looked to be looked in for. As we go on to that too, the funny part of how this came about, this was an investigation into the Washington football team, allegations of their misconduct and their type of abuses and their type of behavior. And they found Gruden was mixed up in that. And there was other people in email. My thing about it is, with the movement that the NFL is trying to do with this show, more openness and inclusion, I think it would do the NFL a whole lot of good if they would just release all the emails, let the chips fall by their may, let the axe fall down on whomever, because as an outsider, it looks like, okay, you let Jon Gruden to the wolves because he put the wrong guy under the microscope. He called the wrong guy the wrong name. But those emails weren't just sent to Mr. Allen. They were sent to other people, and there were multiple emails. And the fact that these guys never turned him in anyway from that time back, I wonder about the culture still of the NFL and some other people, because you can say what you want to do to be politically correct to see that you're conclusion, but your heart is totally different. Saying one thing and believing it is totally different thing. Has there been progress in the NFL as far as hiring? Yes. As far as quarterback play? Yes. But is it where it should be? Not even close. Not even close. I mean, even if you want to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars, you wanted to make a splash. You're talking about Urban Meyer. I think you'd have made the same or equal splash with a Super Bowl participant coach that took a team there and had been there in Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith is a name in the NFL. He would have been unquestioned as why you brought him in there, because the man knows the game, and he's taken one team and brought him from nothing and brought him to the Super Bowl. So, and it's not the only coach out there that have been qualified to lead this team. So it makes you think, and I don't think about this with Shad Khan, because obviously he's in the minority too, but it makes you think how many other people have been passed over in the last, not in the last 20 years or so, in the last couple of years, because of people in those front office do not want people that do not look like them to be their leadership. So that opens up a lot of more things that I have to worry about with those emails, because those people that those emails were out to were not, because he was sending them to somebody, and the somebody didn't say nothing, like they were appalled by it. So that's you know what I mean? If somebody sends you something that you know is wrong and you don't do anything about it, to me, you're just as responsible for the behavior as they are.
You said it. I couldn't say it any better right now.
Okay. I was expecting a little more, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll jump right into our next picks, especially leading right into this. We're talking about people on the hot seat. I mean, this is that time of year. People not happy with the way their season going. I'm a Gator fan. It's definitely not going with the way we will hope that we would go, especially even when we lost the Alabama game. Everybody was kind of optimistic of what we could have this season. And it seemed in the last 3 weeks, it's kind of derailed, where any of the goals that we had hoped that we could have were no longer going to be able to accomplish this year. And partly due to what's perceived as the stubbornness of our head coach is to playing the quarterback that everybody sees the better quarterback. And also, if you watch the LSU game, the sheer stubbornness as to make adjustments to the counterplay that LSU ran for over 200 yards on that play alone against the Florida defense, which made those young men look like they didn't know what they were doing, but they were doing what they were coached to do. And then you hear the crazy part about that was the winning coach in less than 24 hours came to agreement to part ways from the team that he just led to a national title 2 years prior. It's just crazy. But to see how the world of college football could be changed in an overnight, in an instant, based on all kinds of circumstances and situations. Obviously, we know about the USC coach, the vacancy. They let their coach go. One of the things I wanted to discuss with you, and I'll leave with you. Obviously, we know about these guys. Who else do you see is currently on the hot seat in your opinion, and who will be on the hot seat if they continue on the path that they're on of losing games?
This was an interesting topic, because when you say hot seat, there's more variables in play in college than there would be in NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So one that I would like to bring to everybody's attention is Oregon. Now, Oregon's been doing good, but see, that's the problem. Oregon's been doing good. They haven't been doing great in some time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that administration and that school is wants to see more. You know, they're tired of just kind of getting to the dance.
Mm-hmm.
They want to win prom queen too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't. And so, you know, look for them to make some interesting moves down the stretch here. Back here in our own backyard, USF.
Mm.
They've been in the American Conference since its inception and have yet to be very competitive in it, especially when you have teams like UCF, Memphis, who are always constantly winning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been a big issue for them. Another one, Tennessee.
You just got a brand new coach.
Yeah, you did, and they're not happy.
Really?
They're not happy,
Okay.
and so it's they'll be looking to see what they've been doing.
That was one I wasn't expecting you to say.
Another person I want y'all to pay attention to, who's his seat is not hot, but it's been warm lately, is Herm Edwards. And that's because, again, he's in the Pac-12, and you've been doing okay. When is the last time we've mentioned Arizona State in anything relative to a trophy?
Decades. Yep.
And with all the pieces that he's put there, it's time to start seeing something come to fruition.
Okay. The point of the people that I was going to talk about, where he's going the last few years, and he hasn't had a fast start, and he hasn't had a build up like any big wins or nothing, has been Nebraska head coach Scott Frost. Plus, he's been in hot water over some off the field incidents. So I think I would not be surprised if he's not here at the end of the season. He's released early. Because even though he's a Heisman Trophy winner and he's obviously a big time alum of the school, he has not done a good job compared to what the job he did when he was at Central Florida. This has been a total failure compared to, what was expected and what was hoped for leaving University of Central Florida and their mythical national title team to come here and lose game after game after game. And the Nebraska is not even a name worth taking note of. And Nebraska has put themselves down on the level of the Purdues and the Northwesterns. They're actually probably below those guys right now because they're beating them. Actually, definitely below Minnesota. I mean, and he's an alum and he wasn't bought here. Now, I can tell you for a fact, I know quite a few alums of that university that played with him, a couple of teammates, and they don't think highly of him. There's a hint of entitlement and arrogance, and definitely not keen on tradition to bringing alumni around the program to help them teach the young men that winning culture and the sacrifices that those guys made. And we all know when Nebraska was in their heyday, they were ahead of the trend of their weight and conditioning program. Strength and conditioning was their thing. So they were ahead of the curve on everybody. So it seems like now that the rest of football, especially college football, has caught up to them, they have nothing that had gonna put them out or make them relevant again. Their recruiting absolutely stinks. I don't think they've had a top 10 class since he's been there. And he was brought in there to do all those type of things, but it stinks. I mean, Nebraska used to be one of the top 3 programs in America at one time. Now they're below, like I said, now they're putting themselves down there with Purdue's, and I can't even use Wisconsin's ahead of them, the Purdue's and the Northwesterns of the world. And that's a crying shame for the tradition, this deep, deep and long tradition, and the Heisman Trophy winners that have come out of that program, that they were entrusting him to do that. And I think a lot of the arrogance, I mean, give you example, the number one receiver for the Kentucky Wildcats right now decided to leave because he had some beef with what was going on, and now he's showing off with with the Kentucky Wildcats. He left Nebraska to come here, so you can just imagine the talent that can continue to leave, to lose because of some of the stuff that's going on there. So I see him on the hot seat. And that probably the main guy, along with some other guys we don't see because it's too young into their tenure to see them on the hot seat. There's some people also talking about Dan Mullen, but I don't see Dan Mullen being on the hot seat. You got people concerned right now, especially after the way they lost the game. And it's not his job that's in jeopardy. They want him to get rid of the defensive coordinator. That's the issue. And they're hoping that the fact that he's loyal won't be his downfall, because, it was like that with Emory Jones. He refused to kind of give the other quarterback, I can't think of his name right off my head, Anthony Richardson, more playing time or a chance to really compete for the job. And I get the loyalty to that, and that to be commended, to be loyal to people. But when you're talking about a coach who did not make an adjustment to one play an entire game, and it cost you the game, and you are too either incompetent or arrogant to fix it, yeah, you got to go. And if you're not the coach to make that guy move, friend or no friend, you gotta understand your job is to win games. And if your friend is your friend and he's under you, he knows that, and it shouldn't be a personal thing. And he should know, hey, I ain't do what I needed to do to help support you. So if I gotta go, I gotta go. It is what it is. I'm sure Grantham won't have a problem finding a job coaching somewhere. So that's one of the guys I think that is on that. Those are the guys I think. He was an assistant, but that's a person guy I definitely know is on the hot seat, because that's what's been talked about. All of it. You got anybody else?
No, those are my guys, and I think I'm sorry I didn't even mention Scott Frost, but that definitely.
Yeah. So we'll see how this thing goes on. It's been an interesting season. I mean, for me personally, it's been up and down, if I'm looking at it as a fan standpoint, but I always watch everybody for the most part to try to analyze it and stuff like that. It's been one of I'm struggling trying to say the word strange, but this is one of kind of peculiar season. And it's not because Georgia's number one. That's not it. They deserve to be number one. It's the fact that it's almost like anybody can beat anybody on any given Saturday or Friday night or whatever. And you like, okay. And then there's teams that you're like, wow, this team is good, and nobody expected them to be good, but also they're not getting any much fanfare. Case in point, Michigan State. They're moving up the ranks, but they're not getting a lot of fanfare for what they're doing. Obviously, Cincinnati, who's number 2, is getting a lot because of what they did last year. But we don't know how good they are until they get into the bowl game. Obviously, everybody said they beat Notre Dame, but Notre Dame is not the Notre Dame that everybody thought they were going to be also. And then the up and down of your favorite team, Florida State, where they started out slow but seem to be making some momentum, and other teams like Florida started out hot and seem to be faltering. It's just been one of those seasons that you're thinking but you don't know. And just one of those years you're truly going to have to let's watch and let the season play out before you can pass judgment on it. All right, my friend. I think we've done another good job of getting our stuff to the masses. Once again, folks, if you like this content, please hit that like button. Give us some support so we can continue to do this type of content for you. I know you enjoy it. So, and also hit that subscribe button, and then you get those notifications. So when we get that, as soon as we release this, we try to do a show every week. We're both busy. We got a lot of stuff going on, but we want to do this because we care about what we're doing. We love talking about sports, and we want to support our community with what we talk about here, because a lot of times where we're at, we don't get a lot of that conversation nationally. So please support us. Hit the like button. And once again, support our sponsors, Team Sportswear Direct. Watch Game Film, the Women's Tackle Football League. And until next week, for my illustrious co-host, Andre L. Sullivan, our great producer, Andre Moody Fowler with All Sports High, I'm Terry McGriff. We'll see you again next week. Y'all be blessed.